All right. Welcome, everybody, to another PMsquare live stream. It is great to be back. Let me tell you that. I know it's been a while since we've done one of these. We took a little summer hiatus. A lot happened in that time in the world of Cognos, in my life, I'm sure in everybody's lives. But here we are today to talk about what's new at Cognos 11.2.1. So the 11.2.1 release is pretty new, came out a couple weeks ago, and I am here to share with you all the highlights of this release. We've got a lot of good stuff that we're going to be showing, so stick around to see it all. The other thing you're going to want to stick around for is we have a new version of the PMsquare CogBox coming out. It is available now. So we're releasing it today to coincide with our 11.2.1 live stream. There's a lot of cool things to check out. So totally new UI, some new features. You're not going to want to miss it. The CogBox is free, and I will be demoing the new features and the new user interface at the end of today's live stream, so stick around for that. So with that said, I see a lot of people piling in, so we're going to wait a minute or two and catch up with everybody. So Landon, good to see you from Denver. Jerry in Southeast Wisconsin. You on vacation or something, Jerry, or do you live in Southeast Wisconsin? One of the things about these live streams that's so cool, I think, is that we get a lot of repeat customers. And so I feel like I'm starting to get to know some of you. Like, people will check in from around the world, and we've got return faces. It's very cool. Hi from Israel. Good to see you, Paul. That's Cognos Paul Mendelson in the chat, everybody. I'm sure we all know them. Rick says, go pack, go. Don't know about that, Rick. And we got the questions coming already. Can I embed a set of 4 dashboards in a single dashboard? Please advise. I will maybe address that. We'll see. Might need a little clarification on that question. So while we're going to wait another minute or two for people to show up before I jump in. Hello from Deutschland. Good to see you. Yep. So hello from Detroit, Michigan. I live just outside of Detroit. So what is new in the world of Cognos and new in the world in general since we last spoke? Well, the most important thing that's new that I wanted to share with you is this. So this is my new daughter, Juniper. Juniper was born in July. She's my third child. So I have a 5-year-old daughter, Freya, a 3-year-old son named Samuel, and now Juniper came in July. So that's part of the reason for the gap in PMsquare live streams is I was out doing a little paternity leave there. She's a great baby. She's sleeping well, eating well. We have no complaints. With number 3, you kind of feel like you know what you're doing, although do you ever really know what you're doing? I don't know. But that's an important new addition to the PMsquare and Cognos family there, Juniper Dolley. So congrats. Yeah, thank you, Landon. All right. So with all that said, how does this work? I know a lot of you have been here before. We might have some new people. So this works best. I see someone has recognized Nuffle Bunny. I am going to go through the features, share my reactions to them, my opinions of them, how to do things. And what I need to make this best for everyone is your reaction. So what do you think of what you see? Can you see yourself using this? Is this a valuable addition to Cognos? How are you going to roll it out with your customers? And what questions do you have about how to best do this? So bring that energy to this live stream, and we're all going to have a good time. Let's get rolling. Okay, so what's new in Cognos Analytics 11.2.1? The first thing that you're going to notice is that we have I don't know if I'd call it a new name, but it's a slight name change, okay? So we are now Cognos Analytics with Watson. What does that mean? Well, I mean, first of all, it's a marketing change. We all know Watson is very well known. If you watch American football, you can't escape the IBM and Watson commercials that play every Sunday. So it'll help get Cognos more visibility, but it's more than just a marketing change. They are looking to align Cognos and Watson to bring more Watson capabilities into the product. And I think you're going to start to see that more and more as time goes on, that we're going to get more, natural language query features in the product, more of everything, kind of data, AI, and Watson focused is coming into Cognos. It's going to be a big area of investment. And this name change is a signal to the BI market and to IBM's existing customers that this is what's coming. I think it's pretty exciting overall. I've seen a lot of designs for what we're going to see in Cognos, and I got to tell you, I like it. I like it a lot. And so there's good stuff on the way, and I think the name change reflects that. I see some congratulations in the chat. Yeah, thank you, everybody. It's having kids is great. I'm a kids guy. Okay. So what is new here? I'm going to walk through. We're going to talk about UI changes, dashboard changes, report authoring changes, some small changes to data modules, what's new in administration, some licensing changes, and then I'm going to show you the CogBox at the end. So stick around for all that. There's a lot to show you, so I'm going to be trying to move at a good clip. But you know, that's what we're going to cover today. And if you like this, here's what I need you to do. I need you to like the video. If you appreciate what we do here, I need you to like this video right now to help get more people watching it live. I need you to subscribe to our channel and leave a comment down below if you have a question in the video. We will look at the comments in the video itself and try to answer some of those afterwards. So of course, participate in chat, but also leave a comment down below for posterity. That's what we need you to do to help grow this community we have around these live streams. All right. So what's new here? The first thing we're going to want to look at is just, I'm going to show you some UI changes. So my favorite UI change of all, in this, I really, I love it. So let me just open a dashboard here to show you. So this is the dashboard I built. I posted this on LinkedIn and just said like, hey, Cognos can look cool too. And I got over 8,000 people who saw it and over 100 likes and lots of comments. I was blown away by it. But what I want to show you is not this dashboard. It's actually this. Content has been added to the switcher. Now, this is a small change, but I think it's huge because it was always such a pain to remember to go back to the actual kind of Cognos connection for you old school Cognoids here, to click here and then click on content, and then you would get to your content. Now, you don't have to do that. Content is in the switcher, so you can go back to content at any time just from here. It's a single click, and it does a much better job remembering what you were looking at and how you had it set up. So if you're on 11.2.0, you know that some of the changes you make to how you want this viewed, like the filters you might put in place, or whether you're in list or tiles view, okay? Those weren't always remembered. You would navigate away, you would navigate back, you would leave your session, you'd come back in, it wouldn't remember what you had done. Now it does. It does a much better job of that. So you will always go back to the last place you were looking at content by clicking on this content button in the switcher. And I love it. I love that change because honestly, I was always clicking here anyway. And then I'd be like, oh yeah, no, so there's no way to get to content from there. So I would always have to go back. So that's really great. Marcos, hello. Good to have you here. Shad, is Watson embedded in the new release or will be available with a separate license? So there's Watson-esque features in the new release. However, it's not the full-blown Watson capability, right? So there's a whole bevy of Watson products that are separate from Cognos, and then we will be getting more Watson features in Cognos over time, but not full-blown Watson is what I would say. So there's Watson Studio, there's lots of Watson APIs. Those will be involved here, but not the whole thing. Okay. So the switcher, other things, search changes. So one thing, if you do a search for like anything, so like revenue, okay, and you look at the filters, you now have the ability to filter for some object types that you couldn't before. So jobs, you could not filter for jobs. I don't have any jobs in this environment, but you cannot filter for jobs, report views, or shortcuts before. Now you can. And now if you save a search, it will save your filter types. It didn't before. So that kind of hampered the usability of the search feature, but now it does, where you can see up here, when you click up here and it's blank, it'll show you your saved searches. And if I click on sales, you'll see it actually saved a filter here, right? So I had filters in place to only look at packages, and it saved that search. So the search functionality has gotten a little more useful in this release. What else is new in the user interface? And we talked about more consistency across sessions and content. Another thing that's new is if you look at the menu here, you now have edit name and description. So before, to edit the name and description, you'd have to go into the properties window and then click the edit button. Now you can directly access the ability to edit the name and description here. So you could give it a name, or you could say like, this is a really swell dashboard. Okay. Then click save, and you'll notice it updates. And one of the things that I learned that I hadn't noticed before by trying this feature out was that in the tile view, the description is actually displayed when you're looking at the content. So that's pretty nice. I like that a lot. And it'll make it, one reason to choose the tile view, I think, is because of that. So you can put descriptions and they're easily visible to your end users that way. So that's a nice, I think what you're going to see over the next few releases is a lot of like things like this, where we have, where there's going to be, like kind of a rolling evolution of increasing ease of use in the user interface. And I'm in favor of that big time. What else has changed? So there's a couple of changes. I won't demo them, but these are just kind of broader changes to uploading Excel files. One is that it will pull the locale when you upload an Excel file. So for example, that here in North America, we have we denote a decimal point, say in currency, with a dot, right, or a period. Whereas in other parts of the world, parts of Europe, they would do a comma instead of a period. And so it will now check where you are when you're uploading a CSV or an Excel file, and it will apply the appropriate processing based on your locale. So if you're in a period for decimals place, it uses those. If you're in a comma for decimals place, it uses those, right? For example. So that's nice. The other thing we'll do is merged cells. So if you have a spreadsheet that has a bunch of merged cells on it, say, your left-hand column of your spreadsheet is merged where there's 100 rows, and then there's there's 100 rows, and then there's like a merged cell where it's just one value across all 100 rows. It could not interpret that before 11.2.1. Now it can. So you don't have to go and unmerge all the cells before you upload something. It can interpret merged cells. And that is a big usability improvement that I'm in favor of. So there's a couple questions that have come in. Is there a category for cubes or Event Studio? No. So put that request in IBM that I want to specifically search for transformer models or transformer cubes or Event Studio reports. The second question, does Event Studio already work with data modules? So not really. The thing about data modules is that there's really not an event to trigger, right? Data modules are basically just FM models. And so if you were to think about, oh no, I understand your question here. Sorry, I misinterpreted it. I haven't seen any notes about Event Studio working with data modules now. So I'm going to assume not. If there's somebody from IBM watching, which often there is, and I'm wrong, please correct us. So if I'm in the US and I send a report to a UK user, well, it's going to by default process kind of where the UK user is, right? So it's going to switch the processing based on where you're uploading it. So you might want to, instead of sending them the spreadsheet and asking them to upload it, you upload it and then have them access it in Cognos. Okay. All right, so those are the changes to the overall UI. Small changes, I think, but very helpful changes. Now let's take a look at what is new in dashboards. So the first thing I'm going to show you in dashboards, and let's go ahead and look at, I created this data set, a fake data set that's about the number of hot dogs eaten in the Great Lakes states. So this is not real data. I used a tool called Macaru to make it. Macaru is a great tool just to help you fabricate data sets. But I want to show you some of the new features using this fictitious hot dog consumption data set in dashboards. Now, some of what I'm going to show you carries directly through to reporting. So I'm probably just going to show it to you in dashboards and then say, but it's available in reporting. So, it's the same properties, because a lot of these are new properties for the 11 visualization types, and they're shared between report authoring and dashboards. So let's go ahead and create this. And we're going to build a map here, and I want to show you there's a new, let me zoom out one. There we go. Actually, let's zoom out two. Okay. So there's a new feature in mapping that we're going to want to take a look at. And that's the ability to build hex bins. So these are kind of cool. And what they do is, let me go ahead and add, is this the one I wanted? I don't think this is the one I wanted. Which, let me go back to the content. Midwest hot dogs. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. So let me create a dashboard off of this one. There we go. This has better data. Okay. So let's build out this map. And what was I talking about? Hex bins. Hex bins are slick looking and fun. And those are always two good things to have in your visualization tool. So what am I going to do here? So I got a measure that is the amount of hot dogs eaten. And then I have a lat and a long. So let's go ahead and go to lat long. And we'll drop latitude and longitude here. And it's going to plot all these. And you can see, so I kind of generated this data set for the Great Lakes states and Ontario. Now, it had a slightly liberal definition of what counts as a Great Lakes state, like Halifax, not one of the Great Lakes states, but that's okay. Now, what we're going to do here is if you go ahead and take a look at, let's drop hot dog consumption into point color as well. And now I'm going to go into the properties of the visualization. And in the lat long layer, I'm going to switch this to hex bin. Okay. So what does this do? It kind of does a summary and creates these, hexes on the screen, which is nice. If you zoom in, you will eventually get to the point where you can see the individual dots, right? So this is kind of a visual aggregation of the data. Let's full screen this. That just freeze up. Oh, I didn't like that. Give it a sec. Well, I don't know why that just locked up, but I have a pre-built example of it over here that I'll show you. So here's the same data, okay? And now what can you do with this? One thing you can do is if you click on the pitch and bearing and then you use the arrow keys, you can see that these are actually 3D. So it's almost like Google Maps, kind of like, or like not a street view, but I mean, you can go down to street view in Cognos. And you can see, you can zoom way in. And so the height represents a unit of measure for these. And you have control over how tall these things are. So if I go into the properties and we look at, so hex radius, you can control how big the hexes are, right? So if I were to like shrink this down, you see now there are many more tiny hexes. If I make this really big, right, then we just get giant hexes. So you can control the size of the hexes, and then you can also control the min and max height. So if I were to add, increase this by 1, now you can see they get really tall, right? This is almost looks like a city, right? This is the hot dog sky, the skyline of hot dog consumption is what this is. Now, it doesn't just work with lat long, okay? It works with points and regions. So if I go into points, I'm not going to build it using points, but you can see that I can choose hex bin as a type for the point layer. And then regions, you can see that it also has, is this the right release? It is the right release, yeah. You can see here in regions that you have the same capability. Should say it in here, the height of the hex bins. It probably is not appearing because I don't have it configured, but in any case, you can do it lots of different ways, right? So it's not just lat long, you can do it with regions. And if you do it with regions, it will actually be like the outline. So I did this once with states, and it was the outline of the state that was like 3D. So it is actually the shape of the state itself. So that is a pretty slick feature, I think. And then this is something, that you can interact with. It's fully interactive and all that sort of stuff, just like it would have been with a regular map type. So the hex bin map, that's a new thing that that is added, and that exists in reporting too. I won't show you an example in reporting, but it's exactly the same. So this is not restricted to dashboards. It's in report authoring as well. What else is new here? So another thing that's new is the assistant disambiguation that you have that is pretty cool. So let me, I'm going to add, actually, I'm not going to add a data source. What I'm going to do here is, so here we are in the AI assistant. And if I were to type, tell me about profit, okay? There's no profit in my data set. Remember, this is a CSV. It's 100,000 rows that I made up about hot dogs. But it suggested these other places that I might be able to find it. So if I choose Great Outdoors Data Module, now it's going to go ahead and do a little thinking. And what it should come back with is a couple things that are interesting. So the first one is this Watson. So when I say, oh, they're adding Watson to Cognos, this is the first area. Is if you say, tell me about blank, and it detects a statistical significant, meaning more than 20%, I think is the threshold. And I don't believe that's configurable. But a 20% deviation between two fields that have names that it knows should be related to one another, it will suggest this Watson insight. So like gross profit deviated significantly from planned revenue by 60.87%. So that's a relationship that it found, and it can tell you why, right? So this is kind of a Watson thing. These Watson insights or Watson, these Watson insights will pop up more and more as they add more capabilities to it. But this is kind of the first one that we're going to see. And then you can also see potential ambiguity. I found potential ambiguities in the following references. Select or enter a reference to see a list of alternatives, right? So I referenced profit, and it says, well, I found a lot of things that could mean profit. Did you mean one of these other things? And that is a change. That's a new feature here. Is it can now, when you type something in, it can say, okay, you use the generic term. Here's the answer to your question, but you may have also meant these other things. So did you mean these other things? And then if you did, choosing one of these will it's not only looking, you'll notice, within my data set, but it's looking across data sets as well. So it will say, hey, you looked for profit. Here's one area where there's profit, but you may have also meant these other fields in other data sources. So that's getting pretty slick. And that's kind of a big feature that we have here. And I think there's going to be a lot coming to this assistant. So I know that for like professional cognoids who've made their career in report authoring, the assistant is cute, but I think it's going to become very powerful for your end users. And I think your job, part of what's going to become your job, is not authoring through the assistant, right? I don't use the assistant to build dashboards because I know what I'm looking for. But curating data sets, and when I say data sets, I mean, a lot of times specifically Cognos Analytics data sets for the purpose of being used with the assistant, I think is going to become an important thing that we all need to start learning how to do and thinking about. This is a great feature of Cognos. If you look at Cognos's competitors like Amazon with QuickSight, Amazon this is a major marketing, like QuickSight Q. There's a whole edition of QuickSight that does this. And the curation of data sets for natural language query is a big part of what Amazon teaches you to do in order to make this a useful feature. We need to start thinking that way in the Cognos community as well. So a couple questions related to maps. Can you do conditional formatting on a map? Anything above 50% should be green and anything below should be red. I don't think so, but I'll take a note and see if I can figure that out. Another question. Is this an IBM proprietary mapping tool? It is Mapbox is what it is. So this is a Mapbox integration that IBM does. And that's what it is. And you can actually integrate this further with Mapbox, like to create your own map layers and stuff like that. My colleague, Mike DeGoyce, has an article on our blog that covers that. It's a very popular article of ours. So I would check that out if you're interested in it. Okay. What else is new in dashboards? There is a lot of functionality related to charts, and I'll try to kind of just show you the highlights. I see somebody just tried to call me on Slack and realized that we were kind of busy here. So this is locked up. I'm going to reload this tab and check questions really quick. Can Cognos do text analytics, or do you need Watson Studio? I would, for heavy duty, like true text analytics, there's two things I would look at: Watson Studio, or there's a tool called Watson Discovery. So depending on when you're looking to do Watson Studio or Watson Discovery is what I would look at. Watson Discovery is really cool text analytics. Like if you have documents, especially, Watson Discovery is kind of mind blowing. I would look into that. If you're have a documents, if you just kind of have like text fields in a database, what I would do in Cognos, the way you would do that in Cognos is with the Jupyter Notebook integration, actually. So you can completely do it in Cognos really well using Jupyter Notebooks. You don't need Watson Studio. Jupyter Notebooks can do a lot of great text analytics. Of course, you got to write your own Python or R, but that's fine. And you can do it entirely within Cognos. And those also don't require additional software purchase or anything like that. So, if you are an author in Cognos and you can use report authoring, you should be able to use Jupyter and go to town, is what I would say. For survey analysis. Yeah, for survey analysis, Jupyter or Watson Discovery are the two products I would use. So Jupyter and Cognos to get started. And then if you need more than that, Watson Discovery. All right, let's try to make another dashboard here and show you the, for the sake of time, I might just switch over to my pre-built and kind of show you the features there, because we've had a lot of good questions. And so what else is new in dashboards? So one of the things that's new is the ability to, so there's a new property in a lot of charts, and that is use iterator, okay? So use iterator, when you turn it on, what it will do if you have an iterator on the chart, let me build one from scratch to show you this. So I'll go ahead and let's do a new dashboard. And we'll use our handy Great Outdoors data module. And so if I build a, for repeaters, this comes into play with repeaters. So I'm going to build a column chart here real quick, and we'll take a look at if I were to grab, say, the retailer type. So let's drop retailer type as bars, and the length will make revenue. And then I want to say make a repeater on, region. Let's do region. So we'll grab region. Region. There we go. Okay. So I want to say repeat rows on region or something like that. Okay. Now, what you can do now is there's a property, and this, like I said, this exists on a lot of different, a lot of visualizations in here called use iterator. So when you turn to use iterator on, what does it do? It now makes it so that you can iterate through by clicking these buttons, okay? Or if you're on mobile, you swipe. And that's pretty nice. That's especially for mobile consumption. I think you can easily, like, it's just a nice ability to swipe back and forth. It gives you these little dots here to let you know that there are other versions of the chart available. So that is, you build an iterator, and then you turn on, or you build sectioning for dashboards. Exactly, Landon. It's cool. And then you turn on use iterator. Now, I will tell you, the use iterator button, at least for me, acts a little squirrely. Like when I click on it, it like the format, like it honestly, maybe it's just on my browser, but like it actually looks funky when I click on it, and sometimes iterator is on, but it looks like it's off. So I would test that, and maybe you won't have the same issue, but I've had that issue. So know that, but it's a cool feature. I see a lot of positive reactions to that in the chat. So that's a really good one. Other things that you have here. So in my mind, this is a huge one, actually. And this is because one of the things that drove me nuts about Cognos. So let me show you what I like to do here. So I like to take away grid lines. Okay. I don't like grid lines. I want things to be as simple as possible. And then one of the problems that I had was, well, I could never remove these axis lines. Drove me crazy. Well, guess what? Now I can. So see, show value axis line, boom, gone. Yes. And then we'll do the same thing for the item axis line. I see questions, lots of questions coming in, which is good. Where's the item axis line? Sometimes when you do these live streams, like you don't see things that are right in front of your face. But in any case, so you can see here, like just removing that axis line, I love, right? And then you can also change now, if you do have grid lines, like the grid line color, you have a lot more configuration of the color of these lines, okay? So if I want to make an axis line, say, let me turn the grid lines back on. And then I wanted to change the grid line color. I have the ability to do that. If I want to change the value label color, so I want to make the value label red or something like that, right? There's a lot of options that you have now. Value label is not updating. That's interesting. That you didn't have before, okay? So in terms of formatting these charts, yeah, it's just above the value item lines. Of course it is. In any case, so with so many properties, what is this? They should probably add a search option. Yeah, that'd be great. I see a question from Landon here. Can you control the iterator between multiple charts on the same dashboard? Okay, ready? We're going off script, so buckle up. Let me show you something here that you can do. This is you notice I have this actions, okay? So this actions is an extension that what you could do with this actions is it's like it records what you do and plays it back, okay? So how does that work? Let me just create two charts here, and I'll show you how it works. Actually, let's take this iterator and let's just add it to tab 2. Okay, and nest it in here. And then let's just copy it. So I don't know if this is going to work, okay? I will just be upfront about that. I have no idea if this is going to work. So we got these two iterators, and now let me go ahead and insert action dropdown. Come on now. It doesn't want to. Button wants to go in. Why does action drop down now want to go in? There we go. Okay. So what does this action do? Let's delete one of these. Okay. This allows me to set the properties here. So maybe I'll just call this iterate. Okay. And then I'll call another one iterate again. And then what happens is if I click on actions and I choose iterate, okay, and now I'm going to choose record, and I'll iterate through both of these, and then stop recording. Okay, it didn't record anything. Rats. So it doesn't work on the iterator. But just to show you how it works, let's imagine, so I'm going to leave it with iterate. I'm going to hit record. Okay, and then I'm going to move this visualization here. And I'm going to go on to this visualization, and I'm going to change retailer type to region. Okay. And then I'll I'll get rid of the iterator. So we'll go to the fields, and we're going to get rid of the repeater rather. And then I click stop recording. Okay. Now what will happen is whenever someone comes in and they hit this play button, they click iterate, it will do the actions that I just did. It will play back. Okay. So give you an example of this. That was a bad example. This is why you don't go off script, Ryan. To just give you an example of how this works. Where is this guy? So let me open that dashboard that I showed you earlier. This is really cool. Like, you have to try this out. So I have this is the action thing. So you look at the chart now. Now what's going to happen? If I choose German cities, it changes the chart type from area to bullet points, right? To points. If I choose American cities, okay, it changes it again, right? Now it's got a color property on it. So it's actually changing the properties of the charts by using this. If I choose satellite view, now I've got the satellite view. Now I want to go back to default view, okay? So basically this is like, you set it up, you hit record, you do something, and then you have a drop-down menu that will play back your actions, is how this works. It's very cool. Now, I was hoping I'd be able to show you it like doing multi-iterations, but unfortunately it doesn't pick up the action of the iteration. So that would be an interesting thing for them to add in. But I really recommend you look this up. It's called Actions, and it's available in the Accelerator catalog. If you Google IBM Accelerator Catalog Actions, you should get it. Okay. What else is new in here? There's some changes. For the sake of time, I won't show you everything that we could show you. There's some changes to bullet charts that are nice. The iterator is really nice. The ability to get rid of access lines, change grid line colors, value colors, repeater label colors, lots of repeater stuff. And then conditional formatting, there's some changes to the UI there. So there's a slightly better palette selector and a better conditional formatting UI overall, right? But those are the dashboard changes. So taken together, I think some nice formatting options. And then the big thing is, like, you've got to check out the Accelerator catalog if you're building dashboards, because there is so much stuff in the Accelerator catalog that is not in the base product. I feel like people don't know it. In fact, maybe we should do an entire live stream on like the bounty of riches that exists in the Accelerator catalog for you guys to check out, because there is so much. Any changes to prompt UI? So Kiran asks, any changes to prompt UIs are functioning? So no, but what's the story with prompt UIs? I think we have all known that they've been working on new prompts for a long time, and I've recently asked them what's going on with that, and they said they're still committed to doing it. So that is for sure a thing that is coming. I've been told it's coming. It's coming. There will be new prompts, and the prompts should be kind of work across dashboards. One set of prompts that work across dashboards and report authoring is the vision. Now, the asterisk there is, of course, when will it come? Right? The kind of the disclaimer. It's being developed. It will come at some point. But you know, exactly when it's going to come, we don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. So, but it's coming. I've been told it's being worked on. All right. So what's new in report authoring? The first thing I want to show you that's new in report authoring is actually this. So active reports. As you all know, Internet Explorer has reached its terminal state, and MHT doesn't really work in other formats. So what do we do with our active reports? Well, IBM built an active report viewer. Okay. So this is on the Accelerator catalog. check out the accelerator catalog. And the active report viewer is this nice little application, and it runs on your local machine. It keeps track of what have you recently looked at. And so as an end user, I can come in here, and if I have an active report, now I get this error that pops up. It doesn't appear to affect anything. It has to do with fonts, like it can't find a font. So I'm not sure what's causing that. Now I built this very simple active report, so simple that, just to kind of show you the functionality, right? So I didn't even configure it to really slice the data or anything, but just to show you, like, these now work, right? There is a future for active reports. You do not have to keep Internet Explorer working in your environment for people to view those MHT files. You can download this. It's free. And I haven't tested this, but what I've been told is the performance is actually a lot better because Internet Explorer is so long in the tooth that if you have active reports where the performance is not good, that you should expect a performance improvement by switching to this active report viewer. So I know I don't have a ton of customers using active reports, but the customers I do have using it really use active reports. And so I think this gives you kind of confidence that you can continue forward using them and hopefully a performance improvement going forward. I like it. I see people making connections in the chat. I love that. One of my favorite parts about this is just the people talking in the chat. I just think it's so great that we've developed that kind of community here around our live streams. Okay, what else is new in report authoring? So, excuse me. There's a couple of things that we're going to want to check out here. The next thing to look at: search and select prompt works for data modules. Yay! We've been asking for that forever, and we now have it. So let's take a look at the search and select. So I have here let's take a look here. So I have this active report example. Not that one. Reporting examples. So what all is new in reporting? Not that. That's a CogBox feature. Edit report. Okay. So just to prove to you, right, Great Outdoors data module, we can all agree this is a data module. Now I'm going to run this, and you'll see here, I create a very simple report. It had a search and select prompt on it, okay? And if I search for a particular value, like okay, acapimento, and finish, it works. Search and select prompts now work on data modules. I know that's been something people have been asking for forever. I've had multiple people tell me I can't use data modules because search and select prompts don't work. Well, now that objection has been removed. What else do we have in here? Okay. So here's the other thing I want to show you. There's now and I guess I could have shown this in dashboards, but we'll show it here. The functionality is the same. You now have the ability to make donut charts. And they didn't do it by creating a new chart type called donut. What they did is they created a donut hole radius property, both in dashboards and in reports. And so the donut hole radius property, which you can see here, let me switch to page preview mode. And let's not grab a retailer. Okay, so you can see here, when I set the radius to 0.5, you now have a donut hole. So if you set it to 1, that makes the donut hole the entire chart. You no longer have a chart. So you see if I set this to 0.9, it becomes a very thin circle. But you can now make these donut hole charts here, again, both here and in dashboards. Both here and in dashboards, and that is new. Another thing that is new is the optimized tab rendering. So before, when you would make a tabbed report, it would render all the tabs at the same time. So if you have a report with 10 tabs, it queries and renders all 10 tabs before it shows you anything. That's not ideal in many cases. So when you turn on optimized tabbed rendering, what you will see is that, and I'll show you how to do this. It's actually when you have a tabbed report, you go into the report properties and you'll see it right here, optimize tabbed rendering. So it's right there. Yes, no, default, okay? And auto. So when you switch it to yes, what does it do? It means so that it only rendered the search and select tab. The optimize tab rendering tab will not render until I click on it. And then you see it ran and rendered that. So when you have a lot of tabs and it's like, yeah, it takes 5 minutes for this tab report to open because it's rendering all the tabs up front, you turn this off and it will render the tabs as they are clicked on by the end user. And so that should make tabbed reports a lot more functional. Now I see people saying that something's available in 11.7. Is that the donut chart? Because if it is available in 11.1.7, it's not in the release notes. It's in the release notes for 11.2.1. And IBM's promoting it as if it's a new feature in 11.2.1. So it'd be very interesting if it actually came in 11.1.7. That's funny. Okay. So those are the changes in report authoring for 11.2.1. To summarize, it's the active report viewer. It's search and select working with data modules. It's the donut chart, although apparently that came in 11.1.7, which is news to me and maybe news to IBM. And then the optimized tab rendering. That's what's new in report authoring. Okay. Now, what's new in data modules? It's just one thing, and it is the ability to set the asset. It's a asset property. Not calculation, but I'm blanking on the word for it. Function, asset property function. So let's look at the asset property function. And you'll see in 11. You'll see here, I'll just show you how it works. So I haven't actually, when I say show you how it works, I'll just show it to you. So what does it do? Is it, add it in. I want it from here. So it will return a property from an asset in Cognos, okay? So returns the property value of an asset. This asset can be located by a store ID or search path. And the examples it gives, for example, the modification time of a package, right? So when was this package last updated? Or when was a data set? This is the one I'm going to use it for. When was a data set last loaded? You can have that available on a report or a dashboard using asset property. So this is very useful for pulling the properties of objects in Cognos and then displaying those properties on a report or dashboard. This is the data module change. A small one, but I think a very useful one, especially if you're using a lot of data sets or you want to show when different objects were updated on a report itself. This is really good. Yeah, very cool auditing function. So Landon, I saw show the Cognos toolkit and with GitHub integration. Yes, I would love to show that. What we need to do to show that is I've been working with Daniela, who is in charge of the team that builds that. And so if you know Daniela, tell her to call me. I would love to do a live stream on that. The new donut is that the total can appear in the middle of the donut is the new change. So so IBM's talking about the donut as if the donut is the change. But let's take a look at that real quick. Just if you want to see kind of the donut in action, I'll build one real quick in report authoring for you. So let's add a pie chart, or sorry, in dashboards. Where's my pie chart? Alphabetical pie. So pie charts to begin with you know, I don't build them, but if you build them, that's okay. But I don't build them. So let's go state for the segments and then size. We'll do hot dog consumption. And then if you look at the properties, you will see donut hole radius. Boom. So there's the donut hole radius. And then you can also control the start and end angles. So if you don't want like a full like circle, you want this to start at, you want to hit the undo button so you don't delete your visualization. You want this to start at 90 degrees. Okay. You want this to start at 90 degrees and end at, 180 degrees. You can do that too. So these are the controls here. Yeah, people love their pies. They do. I try to talk them. I mean, they're great for eating. For dashboards, I could do without. But here's, so here are kind of the controls you have over this. Start angle, end angle, and then the kind of the size of the line, the thickness of the line. Okay. What else is new? So we kind of looped back a little bit to what's new in dashboards and report authoring, and it's that. What's new in data modules is just the asset property function. I think it's going to be very useful. Now, what's new in administration? One is a couple new data sources, Dremio and IBM Cloud SQL Query. So those are new data sources that are available to you as of 11.2.1. The other two things I want to show you are we're getting admin stuff here, okay? So buckle up. There's a new property that you can set that will allow you to provide a little more memory to the BI bus TK process in order to improve report performance. Okay. So where is that? That is going to be in the configuration folder. You're going to look at there's a file called CBS environment vars.ini. Okay. So it's here. And what you do is you take a look here and you add to it the following. Okay, so it's going to say TCM ALLOC underscore comp underscore threshold equals. Now the default value is 50. So if you want to up this, you're going to add 100 or something like that. This is increasing the memory utilization, again, of the BI bus TK process. So the report server processing, which, as we know, is still involved. Even if you're using dynamic query mode, the report service still comes into play frequently. So here you can see this, okay? And you come in here, you change this, you save it, you restart Cognos. You have to restart Cognos for this to take effect. But what this should do is increase the performance of reports. That was the purpose of this setting. Now, I wouldn't go with setting it to 10,000. I haven't played around with this, but this should increase report performance. Now, Landon, how's this different from the JVM heap size for the respective services? I don't know, honestly. I haven't messed around with it to be able to say for sure. That's a great, if there's someone from IBM who knows, put it in the chat right now. I don't know. I know that they say, look, this can help. But this is not the, what exactly is it doing under the hood? I'm not sure yet. If you figure it out, Landon, you let me know and we'll share it on the next live stream. It's gauging the accelerator catalog. Yes, I'm going to be evangelizing the accelerator catalog a lot to you guys going forward because it is really, really a lot of great stuff in there. We have stuff in there from PMsquare. The CogBox is in there. You can access a Thrive trial through there. So there's great stuff from other partners, not just us, and great stuff from IBM. Check out the accelerator catalog. You will not be disappointed in what you find. So there's this, okay? The next thing that we're going to take a look at for administrators is going to be in the admin menu. So this is going to be a query service setting. And what this is going to do is this has to do with the number of data sets stored in memory or queries related to the compute service kept in memory. Okay. Data sets kept in memory. So this is in the settings. So you need to go to the query service settings. Okay. And you're going to go in here and we're going to set properties and we're going to look at settings. Okay. And in advanced settings, this is where you set the compute service settings. So compute service, what do I mean when I say compute service? The service that does the data set processing. This is Spark SQL. For my friend Jean-Georges, he and I had a long conversation about Spark and Cognos, and this is where you set the properties for that. Okay, and so the setting here is going to be the QS query execution Flint server managed data sets limit. Okay, it looks like this. I'm not going to type it. I will zoom in so you can see it. Okay, and then you set a numeric value. The default value is 250. What am I doing here? Okay. I'm gonna actually make a long video about how do data sets work, how do they process for administrators. We're gonna dive really deep into this topic, but just to give you a brief overview, what happens with a data set? A data set is an Apache Parquet file. The Apache Parquet file at runtime, when someone accesses it, okay, someone runs a dashboard that has a Parquet file. This is a data set or an uploaded Excel file, applies to both. So keep that in mind. It's important to understand. When someone uploads that or runs a dashboard, Cognos says, okay, is there already a copy of this on my local machine? If no, it goes and fetches the Parquet file from the content store and moves it to the data directory of the Cognos installation. Then it loads it into memory. This is controlling how many of these things can be loaded into memory at one time. Now, the default is the following. It will stay in memory. I run a dashboard. It will stay in memory until 12 hours have passed, at which point it will be dropped from memory, or until more than 250 objects are in memory. Once my data set becomes the 251st, it gets dropped, okay? This is what this setting controls. So if I set this to 1,000, I'm saying I want you to store 1,000 in memory at once, not 250. Now, should you come in here and mess with this? Mostly I'm going to say no. Like if you just want Cognos to be faster, do not come in here and change this setting. There are other settings that you can set related to the amount of memory available to this process that will give you more bang for your buck. Only if you are really heavily dependent on data sets and you actually have thousands, you have a huge Cognos environment with thousands of data sets, would I come in here and mess with this. For almost all of my clients, 250 is fine. For the giant clients out there, you know, like the people who've appeared on stage in the past. I can remember Boeing appearing on stage one time with the CEO of Cognos back in the day, right? You might need to change this setting, or even if you're not that huge, but you really have glommed on to data sets and you use a ton of them. But otherwise, I wouldn't change this. But it's important to know that it's there. Okay, so this is a new setting that's available to you. What is this going to do if you up it? It will potentially increase memory utilization on the server, but it will make performance better because those data sets will be cached. That process of fetching it, loading it into cache is not going to, it will be there. So that's what you're going to get out of this change. Okay. Home stretch. We've been going for an hour. So what are we going to look at next? Licensing change. There's important licensing change I want you to understand. Okay, and that is, let's zoom back out here so we're not here in crazy land. There's a new licensing type, and that is analytics for mobile viewer. Why is this important to understand? There's a new license available in Cognos for people who only access Cognos through the mobile app. Now, when I say mobile app, I'm not referring to the old school reporting app, okay? I'm talking about the new mobile app that has Watson Assistant, not Watson Assistant, but the AI Assistant built in. It's really slick. It's nice. We have a whole video on this YouTube channel on best practices for developing for the mobile app. Check it out. You will get a lot out of it, I guarantee. Because there are some new ways you need to think in order to develop for the mobile app. It's only dashboard content today. Eventually, report content will be merged in. It's just dashboard content today. But it's a very slick app, and this license type is for people who only access Cognos through there. It is $5 per person per month. So it is very inexpensive to get this license. And I would definitely check it out if I were you, because I really like the mobile app. I actually think it's great. It's great for dashboards, but they really shrunk the BI experience down to a phone. It works great on a phone. I sound like an advertisement for this app right now, but I mean it. I really mean it. It's very slick. You should check it out. Now, do you have to have this license to use the mobile app? No. Okay. So this isn't saying that everyone requires this $5 a month license to use the mobile app. If you have one of these other licenses for Cognos, use of the mobile app for you is free. But if you have a user community who will only access it through the mobile app, that's where this license comes into play. So check that out. Okay. And then the last thing I want to show you, and welcome Caesar. It's good to see you. The last thing I want to show you is what we did to the CogBox. So, for those of you who don't know, the CogBox is, go pmsquare.com/CogBox. This is free, okay? Free. Almost everything I'm going to show you is free. There's two versions. The free version has almost everything. The paid version has a lot of pre-built custom controls for report authors. That is our secret sauce at PMsquare. Most of this was built by our mutual dear friend, Cognos Paul Mendelson. And that part, that's our secret sauce. We got to charge for that. Okay. But all of the productivity enhancements and a lot of great management stuff is free. So come check this out and download it. And what is in it? Okay. So the first thing that we did is we completely reskinned it for 11.2 so that if you look at the menus, so like what can I do in dashboards, for example? Let me open my Cognos with Watson Paul. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sonia. It's Cognos with Watson Paul. It's not Cognos Paul. But let's take a look at the dashboard, 11.2 dashboard, to just show you. So just simple examples of what the CogBox can do. Hide icons. All the filter icons, all the kind of clutter up a dashboard are gone. I just hid them. Okay, I want to bring them back. I can do that. You can control the data player speed from this. You can see a list of every data module that feeds the dashboard. You can refresh them from here rather than clicking the relink button. And you can automatically open it with a one click. One click, open the data module rather than having to know where it is. So that's free, right? These are quality of life things that you're going to want. And that's why we put them all the quality of life stuff is mostly in the free version. There's a lot of great stuff for report authors. There's great stuff in data modules. Like now that I'm in data modules, let me show you the power of the CogBox for data modules. So I've got the sales fact open here. Let me open the CogBox and say, show data items. Now I can see every data item in the data module, and I can search for these properties. So I can say, show me everything with a usage type of fact. And it filtered. Now I'm looking at all the facts in the data modules. You guys know you can search for names in data modules, but you can't search for properties. Well, with the CogBox, you can. Free. This is free. I'm going to say that a lot in the next 5 minutes. The other thing you can do here, and let me just show you this, just a quick example. So I'll just join these all together into a custom table. We'll create a view, yada, yada, yada. I'm sure you guys all know how to make views. Now, as you know, when you make a view in data modules, it's stuck. You can't change it. You can't come in after the fact and say, oh, I didn't mean order method. Actually, I meant the retailer table. Or like, we had a, we need to swap out a table. Like there's the branch table. We got a new branch table. We need the branch 2 table. You have to rebuild the whole damn thing. Well, now you don't. And how do you do that? You come in here and you see query editor. Now I can see all the queries, and down here, and what can I do here? First of all, I can automatically reorder data items within queries. Magic, right? You can't do that out of the box. But what you can do is if I click edit tables, you'll see here are those 3 tables. You know what? I want to get rid of one of them. And I want to add a new one. Like let's add, I don't know, let's add 2, 3 different tables to it, right? So let's add table 8, right? We'll add that. And let's add table 12. We'll add that. And I click finish. Boom. Just updated the definition of that custom table. So again, this is a free feature. Couple other free features to show you. So, and then I'll show you the new paid feature for this release. Let's take a look at the, where's a good example of it? So one thing to have here, I'll just show you in, we'll look at fancy report. Okay. You notice I have copy params and edit params. So you can now edit parameters within a report. Why didn't that load? I expected that to load. Report param test 1. Okay. Edit parameters. So you can edit the parameters from inside of a report without opening the report. Look at this, right? And you can copy the JSON. So you can actually like directly look at the param values in this format, or you can rename params. You get the display and use value. You can change these values. You can add new param values. You can subtract param values without ever opening a report. Paul, is this one free or is this one paid? I can't remember. I think this one's free, but Paul will know for sure. Now, the paid feature in this release, the CogBox 11.2.1, is this: user tools. User tools gives me a search of all the users in Cognos, their identifier, their email, their CAM ID, right? If there's a phone number or time zone stored for them. And this is the best part, I can access their My Folders directly, right? You all know how hard it is to access My Folders. When I clicked on Rachel Sue's been in this environment before. I'm sure some of you know Rachel. Here's her team content. I called it My Folders, right? You can tell I've been doing this for a while. Here's her team content. I can access, like, let's look at my team content, okay? So you will now have easy access to anybody's team or my content from the base UI. You don't have to jump through all the hoops you have to jump through to get access to this stuff. So if someone leaves the company and you say, oh my gosh, how do we get their my content? This is how you get it, right? Or someone is having a problem in their my content and you need to interact with that. Like, I can build a dashboard directly from this feature, right? So it's not like it just shows it to you. You can interact with these objects and everything. So that is in the paid version of CogBox, okay? So we redid the UI so it looks like Cognos, okay? It uses, we brought in all of the Carbon design library, so it should look and function just like Cognos, has a nice look and feel. And then as far as what you get for free, you get everything I showed you for free. You get lots of other stuff for free. And then there's just some specific JavaScript libraries and a few specific features like the ability to easily access My Folders that are in the paid version. So that is what is new in the CogBox. And we're really excited for you to try it out. Go out and download it now and play around with it. And the free version is going to be free forever. And we keep adding new free features all the time. We're very committed to the free version being something you want and that is very useful to you, and not just a funnel to get you into the paid version. So we have gotten requests from people where we build out like the ability to copy paste params between reports from the UI, from like the content UI without having to go into reports at all. Someone made that request from us. They were willing to pay for it, but we put it in the free version anyway, because we really believe in making this tool as useful as possible for you. So if there's something that you would like to accomplish in Cognos, let us know. And if we can do it, we'll try to get it into the CogBox. And there's a good chance it's just going to be a free feature for everybody. All right. So we're going to wrap up shortly. Get your questions in. I see a couple of them have come in the time here. So what do we have? Migrating, convert data module to use new capabilities of Cognos like explorations. No, you don't need to necessarily do anything to a data module. Data modules operate in CQM. Data modules, my understanding is now, I haven't had this confirmed in a while, but they operate in DQM mode by default. So if I understand your question correctly, you shouldn't have to do anything. And you don't need data modules for most features, right? Like FM works for most features. I love data modules. Those of you who come to these frequently know that. I'm a data module guy. I recognize there's still a lot that you need to do in FM, but I always start in data modules before I go to FM. What other questions do we have here? Does it work in 11.1.7? Yes. Now this UI that I showed you works in 11.1.7. So if you're still in 11.1.7, it's going to look good because it's kind of carbony. But it really shines when you get to 11.2 because it becomes like indistinguishable between them. Paul mentioned user tools is not in 11.0. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to be having a point releases of the CogBox. So you should always, the best practice will be to be on the release that is associated with your release of Cognos. Up to this point, we've just been always replacing it with the newest version, but we kind of recognize that we may be putting in features that don't work with older versions. And so, we're going to have it versioned alongside Cognos. So this version of the CogBox is CogBox 11.2.1. In next year in Q1, presumably when 11.2.2 comes out, we will release CogBox 11.2.2 and it will have new features in it at that time. Is the way to see how schedule reports a user gets? A lot of reports distributed daily. If someone replaces a person, hard to see. We might be able to, Lisa, that sounds like a Thrive feature request to me. So let's talk about that. Okay. So we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. I think it's a good time to wrap up. What are the big takeaways today? And I want to thank you for sticking around for this whole time. It's great to have so many people showing up to these. It's really gratifying. And my favorite part is the people who come every time and who talk to one another in the chat. It's just great. So key takeaways from today's conversation. The name change, Cognos Analytics with Watson. IBM will be calling it that, so get used to it. UI changes, improvements to the switcher, improvements to search, the ability to directly edit names without going deep into the properties menu. Dashboard changes, the assistant disambiguation. So if you put in a term that has a broad meaning, it will ask you specifically what you meant, which is nice. Hex bin maps. Remember, we explored that with our hot dog visualization. Bar charts, or rather axis changes, axis line colors, removing axis lines. We've got iterator where you can swipe back and forth. That's really cool. A few changes to bullet charts and conditional formatting. We've got the active report viewer, the donuts that we discussed that maybe snuck into a few earlier releases that I didn't know about. The ability to copy paste. You can now copy paste in lists and crosstabs in the interactive viewer. Great feature there. I forgot to show that one to you guys, but be on the lookout for that. The optimization of tab rendering. Administrator changes. We dove deep. That should be able to help you improve dataset performance if you have a huge volume of datasets being consumed, or allow you to increase the amount of memory available to the BI Bus TK service. So check that out. Licensing changes and CogBox. A lot to show you today. I'm glad you stuck around for the whole time. It was a pleasure. As always, I'm Ryan Dolley with PMsquare. If you liked this, and you must have, because a lot of you are still here, remember, like, comment, subscribe, help this channel grow. We really appreciate it. We're doing another one of these next week. You do not want to miss it. It is all about the do's and don'ts of upgrading Cognos, how to upgrade Cognos the right way. In 2 weeks, rather, not next week, on October 27th, 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, how to upgrade Cognos the right way. It will be myself and Sonia Fournier, who is one of our absolute best consultants. When something is going wrong for me, Sonia is the person I call. I sometimes say, like, Sonia is a real Cognos expert, and I just play one on the internet. And so I'm really looking forward to having her on here. She's a dear friend of mine as well. She is an expert at upgrading Cognos, and we're going to walk you through what you need to know in order to get this done the right way. So don't miss it. That's October 27th at 1 p.m. Eastern time. Download the CogBox. Keep in touch with us. And until next time, I am Ryan Dolley, Vice President of Technology with PMsquare. It was a pleasure having you here today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.